things I want to start off with. Hey, look, the weather has not been in our favor, but you guys are doing so well. I know everybody kind of felt like, we had some big expectations for this weekend, but no one disappointed. I mean, we are, I keep track of the 3-day Mother's Day, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And last year we were at 151,000. You were at 164,000. So considering the weather we have moving up this spring, it was a really good weekend. So I heard some people saying, "Oh, we didn't do as good as I thought." You did great, and I think you're you're really set up now for the next 2 weeks. There's so many things that happened that were great. I mean, just how you greeted and met your customers and talked to your customers, it's going to build your sales for the next few weeks. So please don't be disappointed in your sales. They were good. They were very good considering we've had no spring. I always say that I like to think people are going to spread their mulch and do the work part before they get in their garden. And there really wasn't a lot of time with all the rain, the hail, the cold weather. So I know the next 10 days still look a little cloudy. We are going to have some warmth. I think you're going to have some great sales. So don't give up. So today we are blessed to have Jessica Kramer, who is, and you might correct me, you're head of the live goods lawn and garden, or?
Yes, so part of the live goods team, and then I handle more of the live goods that go through the warehouse, but part of the whole garden center program, and then the planters category and seed starting, plant supports, more of those categories that then go along with the garden center.
So Jessica came out yesterday to our Willowbrook location, and because we're kind of experimenting out there since it's our first year, and went through that with us and saw our Willowbrook store. And Michelle Camp is on. Thank you so much, Michelle, for spending time with us. These guys will know you because of your training videos, which we've loved, and your advertising videos. Tiffany is on, who is our social media director and marketing. And we've had some really good hits and responses. We loved the hydrangea ad and stuff you've put on. Anyway, Michelle has kind of wrapped her arms around the whole live goods department. She kind of speaks my language. Jessica speaks my language. And it's not always hardware language. So she's had a really big cross to bear coming in and doing this. So thank you for spending time with us. We appreciate it.
It's our favorite subject. So.
It is. This is our favorite thing to do. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they have plenty of questions. I will start out by saying we have 15 locations. We have all different activity at each locations. We have stores that are really going big. We're piloting a store in Manuka to work on extending the season and having more shrubs, bushes, perennials. So that we're testing that. We also are testing it in Manhattan, all at different levels. So everybody's kind of, we're definitely growing in different places. We've had some bumps that we have to work on, and I think there'll be plenty of questions. So I'm just going to open the floor to you, Michelle.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you. Yeah. Did you want us to go through a few slides, or which we have prepared? We can run through real quick.
Yeah, that would be great.
But we really want to answer your questions and have more of a interactive meeting. So Jessica and I will kind of each take half of this little presentation here, and because why not? When you have two people share the presentation. So share the love. Yeah. So thank you for the introduction. We won't spend too much on this slide, but yeah, just the difference between Jessica and I just handle the live goods vendors that are direct to store, and then she handles anything through the RSC. Plus, she does so many other categories like pottery and hydroponics, and I'm just live goods. So but just a reminder of why we're in this business, which I think is a great reminder this time of year, is, every dollar of live goods, is $3 of lawn and garden in the same transaction. And actually, we just got a new report yesterday or late last week, we finally got a report kind of up and running for live goods, which is really tricky because we don't have SKUs for live goods, SKUs. So how we're tracking live goods is with the hierarchy that we've built, and also just kind of some known UPCs that are out there. Like we know what Hybels UPCs are, so we can kind of data mine for that. But we're finding, and we haven't updated our slide yet because it's really new, that for every $1, it's actually $4.50 of other items that are sold in the same transaction. So it's actually higher than what we anticipated in the beginning, and we're just really excited about that. And so then on the next slide, I just wanted to talk about like just some support that we have. And it sounds like you guys have already using some of that with the ALP training that we have. So just like some quick 4-minute videos on how to water plants, calling in season markdowns, maintaining fresh displays, and some on plant problems. And then we're building out to a little live goods badge program as well. So hoping to launch that this fall. So continuing on that training piece, and you guys have any ideas or we certainly have a big list of things we want to train on, but we love to hear what's really relevant to you too. So feedback is always welcome on what other trainings we should build out. Our playbooks on there as well, and then our great Facebook community, which each of you are definitely invited to be a part of that. And then we'll just skip to the next. Okay, so you guys talked a little bit about extending the season. So I actually was just writing a AceNet article on that yesterday. So this is like a little bit of that AceNet article that's going to go out next Monday. Especially for your area, spring definitely isn't over yet, even though we're past Mother's Day. And like you said, you're just beginning. Lori, I love hearing what you said about the weather there in the beginning of the conversation, and that you couldn't be more right. Like that is really, you still have a lot of opportunity to take, don't take your foot off the gas pedal when weather shifts like that. The buyers are still there. They just need their time to get to the store and get out and for the weather to break. So keeping everything looking fresh and good during the colder, more cloudy season until that weather breaks, and they'll come in and buy it. It's definitely worth the effort. And if you are holding on to product just a little bit longer right now than you normally have because of some bad weather, I would just do some fertilizer on it. So your Hosen, like Miracle-Gro, that you sell in the store, like definitely does not need to be stronger than what is advertised on the package. Use it as directed, but throwing a little bit of that on the plants once a week on your flowering plants is going to make a big difference in keeping those like really looking nice and fresh, especially if you're holding them a little longer than you anticipated because of cloudy weather. And then, I still go strong with your spring items. Like you don't let up until Memorial Day. And then after Memorial Day, you can really kind of let up on the gas pedal and you either transition out of the garden center or you transition into, your summer garden center and extending the season. Those are the choices that you have kind of at Memorial Day. But you should not make that choice until Memorial Day, I guess is what I'm saying too. So things to bring in to carry to extend the season would be like larger gallon or larger heat tolerant annuals and tropicals that thrive, as well as like some perennials and shrubs too for the heat. So you're really looking at that bigger container. You shouldn't be bringing anything smaller than like this as a rule of thumb, right? There's always exceptions, but as a rule of thumb, really nothing smaller than a 1 gallon container if you're going to be selling through the summer. That way it has the water holding power to be able to stay alive during the day without you having to water it every 2 hours. That will help with that a lot. And then the heat tolerant annuals really will do well in front of the store, even though your front of your store is significantly hotter usually than somebody's house because of all the concrete and the way the sun warms things up in the summer. But a lot of the ones I listed here, and then there's obviously shrubs too that could, and perennials could go along with that as well. And then just make sure you're keeping your very front of your store with a lot of the wow color, keeping it. It's easy to forget about that because you're not as busy. You're not receiving trucks every week in the summer. You're holding plants a lot longer. They're not selling as fast. So it's easy to just like almost forget about it because you're not in the routine of taking care of it all the time. But I just want to encourage you to make sure it's in your schedule every day to take care of those plants, make sure they're signed, and make sure they're watered, make sure they're merchandised properly. So. And then once it hits 95 degrees, usually you're out of season and people don't shop anymore. So if you ever get to 95 degrees consistently, and I don't know if that happens in Chicago, but if you do get that warm, that's usually when people definitely stop. So, okay.
All right.
Oh.
And then I'm going to talk a little bit on marketing. And so I know you guys have your tomato promotion upcoming this weekend, but then we have our $5 off hydrangeas that you guys just ran as well. So really this is where we're continuing from our side, is to put marketing efforts to bring awareness that you are selling plants. And so this is where in the past we really haven't done anything there. So a lot of our promotions right now will be are on awareness. We're not trying to set a specific price point or that you have to work with a certain grower, but this awareness helps bring the customers to your store. So in September, for the North region, we're going to focus on availability, that mums are available at your local ACE. And then in October, we will focus on pumpkins. And so pumpkins are available at your local ACE. Again, won't have a price point or anything there. And then we'll continue with the amaryllis and holiday greenery or holiday trees as well. And then I know Tiffany, I love what you guys are doing on social media, but then just continuing with that and how important that is, even just showing when a new truck arrives or anything like that, or featuring a new plant of the week, something. You guys do a great job with that. And we have a number of assets that we've been adding to Sochi as well, and are going to continue doing that. I know Michelle and the team were out in California last month and filmed, I think it was like 40 new videos. So there's a lot more coming, and we're just going to continue to expand on that for each season, and different kit, just to create a little bit more awareness too. And then wayfinding banners. So I don't know if this was anything that if any of the locations had moved SKUs over into the hierarchy, this is something that we sent to those stores for free, and then they would have received a credit. So that's into, like, we can work with you guys if you are still moving the SKUs over there, how we can get these to you, or if you want them immediately, they are available in the warehouses, and that you can just order them on your regular truck orders. But these banners are great to help show throughout your garden center where the different plant types are. So keeping all of your annuals together, perennials together, so then customers, they can look and see exactly where they're looking for, and then help distinguish where each of those plant types are as well. And then from that number Michelle mentioned at the beginning, for every $1 that's spent on live goods, there's $4, and now the new number, $4.50 on the rest of the lawn and garden categories. That's really where we developed this outdoor mobile rack. And so I believe a couple of the locations have it in there, but just as a reminder, keeping those add-on purchases front and center with the plants. If you're selling, even if it's not something on here, if you're selling tomatoes or with the tomato promotion coming up, make sure to have those tomato cages near the tomato plants or the plant food. As those customers are buying that, then this reminds them that they need something else too to capture all those add-on sales. But these items here were featured. They're top recommendations for items that are sold with plants. We have some early results from the stores that did bring it in, and they're seeing an increase of 33% in sales on just these items specifically. So you can't necessarily know if they're purchasing it in the store or outside, but they are seeing a significant lift there, just on their overall sales for these items. And then Michelle mentioned the Facebook group, and I know I think a few people are in there, but this is open to everyone as well, to go ahead and join, share pictures of your displays, your store, get some inspiration from other retailers and see what's out there, or even just asking for advice on questions. We love to see what everybody's putting out there, and gives feedback for us too on different areas where somebody's looking for plants or questions or anything like that. And that was all that we had on our end. But want to open it up to anybody that has questions or anything else you want to talk about.
Hi, Jessica. I'm Paulette.
Yeah.
I'm the People Development Manager for the chain. And when you guys talk about future training opportunities, just wondering if that can be geared more towards solution selling as we do inside the store and those add-on items, whether it be huddle material or, in-season training, that quick grab sheets, something that they can have. Lori's always done a great job providing that for us. But just to funnel that on that solution selling, that add-on item, getting that customer that wow experience, everything they need, I think is so key out there. Obviously, what do you guys see in your top performing greenhouses, right? I'm sure you guys see the differentiators to incorporate that into the training. I think would be really key, be it the ALP training or, vendor training or whatever's on the market. Because obviously we know this is growing. It's only getting bigger, so some support that way would be key.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one of the trainings that we have coming for the ALP badge. So that'll be launching end of this year for next year. And that there will be one specifically for add-on items two coming for that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
could always do more. What is this sheet that she
Yeah, do
speaks
you
of?
have
Yeah, would love to see a copy of
Or
an
this.
example?
Lori did for a sheet like say Miracle Grow huddle sheets. Soils that are on sale. What is the difference of garden soil to container gardening? They those quantifying things that when they're selling that, are you putting it in ground? Are you putting it in a container? Stuff like that was really quick highlights that we could pass out to the team and when they're in the thick of it and they get these questions and they're approached with these questions.
Yeah, that's great. That's kind of what our badge is going to be around too a little bit, but it's
Perfect.
good to hear it. And we could do even more to your
I
point than
think
what
we
we
may
have
need to
planned
get more
already.
specific to your point. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think if there's something that, like at this time of year, I mean, we have all this planning that we're getting ready and setting up and it was every store sets up differently and it was a little chaotic this year. But then when we're here, I love the idea that all year round we could be training on salesmanship and how to actually, now that we're here, everybody's kind of really overworked and overwhelmed with the whole pricing setup, everything. Now let's focus on how we sell out there. And I think this is a great growth point for us is if we can bring those ALP courses in throughout the year for everybody. I know a lot of our help out there is seasonal. But I think salesmanship is where we're at today and where we need to be. And right now everybody's just kind of exhausted from setup.
Well, and one of our bigger greenhouses even suggested a passport. To Lori's point, this time of year, what is that person that's never worked in a greenhouse before? What are those key points they should be looking for? As well as communicating that, to the rest of the team, maybe the evening staff that's going to be there or, what have you, a good checklist, a solid checklist that is easy to communicate.
We really loved your job description that you had and these two developed the playbook that we've used quite a bit. So that job description also helps. It seems like there's so many processes that we've got to clean up building to the day that we open at the greenhouses and it's the hiring process, it's a setup process. All those beginning processes have been a struggle because in the same time, all our managers that are on here are getting their soil delivery, getting their mulch delivery, getting their Scott's delivery. So their focus can't, as much as I want it to be all on greenhouse, they're
Right.
really busy doing other things. So all that information that comes in the playbook, I see as being useful maybe in our off time to develop that badge before we get to greenhouse, Paulette. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, absolutely, because they are in the fire right now, right? Just quick, short, simple, sustainable stuff that sticks with them to help them navigate through it. Just that simple, just like the soil selling. Chris, you know, in Manuka, they come in, they're not putting the right soil on the plant. It's not going to be effective, right? You're not selling them the right thing. So things like that. I agree, Lori.
Oh, great. I'm hearing that we could do some social videos too around educating customers on this, like,
Hers
you know,
too.
from
Mhm.
our piece as well as everything that you're saying. And then there's a lot in the playbook too, as you look over it, and I would look through it maybe this just June and July, as you guys are finishing, flip through it and look at like what changes you want to make next year, because there are certain things like preventable is predictable. Predictable is preventable. Sorry, flip that around. Predictable is preventable, right? So we know spring's gonna be crazy. We know your mulch truck's gonna hit, like, and then your plant truck's gonna hit, and then you got to set up the garden center, and you got to hire, and you got to do all these things. And so, what are the things that you can control, and what are the things ahead of season? And just think about every possible thing that you can do ahead of season, to printing off price signs. Once you have your price sign sets for your 4-packs, you know, and you need 1-ups and 4-ups of each of those, print off 10 of each of those, you know, in the off time. Print off any small thing that you can do and get organized around in the off time, that you don't have to wait for, can't wait, you know, that you know it's going to be crazy. You know, there's going to be a 3-week period where everything's happening all at once. So set your garden centers up, you know, 4 weeks early. Get the fixtures out and get enticing customers, but also it's ready, and a lot of those type of things. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I will say that that is also something we really need to grow on, is our additional sales out in the greenhouse, or in the garden center. We loved when we went to the show, when we saw you have soils and product out on the shelf. And I feel like we were just so crazed, like now is the point we need to do that. We need to make sure we've got really accessible bags of soil, or lightweight bags for our older customer that are in the live goods area. So I think we will find in the next few weeks, managers will be working on building those impulse items out there. The rack that Jessica showed, I think Wilmington has it and Manuka. And probably next year I will plan on getting it for everybody. Chris, can you talk about how well that stuff has been selling in Manuka?
The little rack that we had.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just saying we might be better off bringing it back in, because when we had it in the front window waiting to go outside, people were buying off of it left and right. And once we took it outside to the POS tent, it doesn't seem to be getting touched. So we were thinking maybe we'll bring it back in,
Well,
but
we need to adjust it where it's
we-
at.
Are they
We need
coming in
to-
to purchase? Or are they purchasing outside?
no, before we even had that set up outside.
Well,
We
they
just had the
we
rack
have-
ready to go out, and they were buying off of that. But I think for this weekend, I think we're gonna change it all over to tomato type stuff and kind of push it out of the POS tent to the side. See if that helps.
So Manuka is our pilot store. We've expanded their Monrovia, their perennial selection, and expanded just the real estate there. And we did, thank you to you guys, got that green tent that was at the show. And so we have set up an outdoor point of sale, but unfortunately, logistically, we got so busy. We actually just put it in operation Mother's Day weekend because we've been getting so many orders in and stuff, there was not enough staff to run the point of sale outside. So they are checking out inside the store and outside, Jessica,
Okay.
to answer your question.
Yeah, that's gonna be the sell the most, to Jessica's point, wherever they're paying, you know, so like if if it wasn't selling well outside and you didn't have the register up yet, that might have been why, but maybe you need two. Maybe you need one in and one out.
Actually,
Well,
we were saying maybe we need, because we extended all the way over to the other side of the store now. And it seems like more people are shopping the normal side, even though they pull in on that side, they're not seeing the stuff. So now we're getting more signage to point down there, and we're thinking maybe we'll do another POS down there. Maybe next year we'll try that and see if that'll work. To draw some attention down to that end of the building, because that's where we have like the new shrubs and stuff, and they're not used to seeing that from us. So,
And we get the A-frame,
yeah.
the board.
Yeah,
air
so
on.
there's a lot more real estate on the other side of the store that they're not used to seeing. And for some reason, they have tunnel vision when they pull in the parking lot and only see the side that we normally do.
Well, and one lady thought the $5 hydrangeas were $5 hydrangeas.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I'm seeing too, Michelle and Jessica, if you could address that. As we have kind of expanded, not by tons, but like where maybe I bought $3,000 worth of Monrovia, I'm buying 5,000 for a lot of the locations, some of the smaller locations. It's, we're well versed in how to maintain an annual. And, we need to be, a little more trained in how to maintain, those larger products. The roses need to be deadheaded now, the hydrangeas need to be taken care of. So information about, as we get into those products that we're extending our season with, like how it's not maintained like an annual. So maybe some direction in how you maintain that.
That's a good point. Yeah, so first of all, shrubs, when you get things from a shrub grower, even if it's an annual that you're getting, but it's mainly a shrub grower like Monrovia, they use a different kind of mix. You guys have probably noticed that, like it's very barky mix, and then an annual grower will use this very light and fluffy peat kind of mix, and the annual grower mix dries out really fast, and the shrub grower mix dries out a lot slower. Plus, it's usually a bigger container. So the good news is they don't have to be watered and aren't as like they're not going to die if they don't miss water for one day, but when they do get watered, you've got to think about how big that container is, and that the water's got to reach all the way down to it. So maybe if you're just watering a 4-inch annual, you can kind of go over it just a couple of seconds and it's watered. But when you're putting your hose in a big shrub, you're going to need to, leave it in there for quite a bit longer to make sure it gets well watered. And it doesn't have to be watered as often as an annual, but when it is watered, it needs to be watered deeply. So that's a difference with shrubs. And then also the deadheading. Anytime there's a dead bloom on shrubs or perennials, snipping that off, or a couple of the lower leaves that turn yellow, taking those off, yellowing leaves will make the plant look like a fresh and new plant, just with a little bit of cleanup. And you might want to schedule somebody to do that maybe once a week. It shouldn't be something that needs to happen all the time either, but if you stay on top of it once a week and keep them cleaned up, yellow leaves and dead blooms off of them, that's a great way to do it. And shrubs can sit. I have a lot of people like shrubs can't sit directly on the asphalt. They can sit on the asphalt. They can sit on pallets. They're tougher. They're grown outside. They're hardier. Annuals are usually grown in greenhouses. This stuff grown from Monrovia, greenleaf, or the Willoway. They're all out in big fields. The plants are, so they're hardier plants. Does that help? I hope.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we're just experimenting with this Monrovia. I guess because everyone was so well versed in annuals, last year, everybody's a little frustrated with Monrovia because it's just a different product.
Mhm.
So,
It
we're
does move
learning.
slower too. But one of the things we use is Trackline, which is a national surveying company, and we have access to that data. A few of us at ACE do, not all of us. It's just but we can go in there and look, and when I can look at it and slice and dice it a lot of different ways. Our main reason for having it is to see how much market share we have and how much we're gaining, and with our efforts, overall, like in ACEland and building that. But also I can dive into like how customers are buying. So it'll be like, I dug in to see like what's the main reason you bought the plant where you bought it this year. Was it because of convenience? Was it because that's where you bought it last year? Was it the price, or was it selection? And there's several things there, and I was so surprised that it was selection. So they didn't buy because it was the closest to their house. They didn't buy because it's where they bought last year or the cheapest. But the overwhelming, like, main reason they bought was because of the selection that was at the garden center. So maybe they're coming to buy a boxwood and they end up with a boxwood, but they're going to buy it from the store that has a selection of 20 different shrubs versus a selection of just boxwoods or a couple of different shrubs, and one of them is boxwoods. So there's something about that, and I've always known it in the industry. I've always seen it. You can almost see the customers, they come in and they scan your garden center, right? And then they enter to make a purchase. But what they're looking for is do they have what I need? Garden center shopping is fun, right? But it's not for the faint of heart. It's very confusing for gardeners that don't know what they're doing. So we need to they need to know and feel confident that everything is there that they need before they decide to enter in and make a buying purchase. So when they look around and see that there's a few pallets of soil, that there's tomato cages by the tomatoes, that there's fertilizer, and that there is a good selection. You have 10, 15 varieties of tomatoes and 6 varieties of peppers and, herbs, just in that one category. But in each of those categories, you have good selection. That is really what changes the buying decisions in the customer more than price or convenience. I've seen it to be true. And then I was happy to see it like in the data. So yeah. So it's just something to think about. So I think adding Monrovia adds your selection, right? You're adding shrubs, they don't sell as fast. They're a little bit different to take care of. You're going to be taking care of them longer than you take care of an annual. But that, that just means you don't have to receive a shrub truck as often, right? As you do an annual truck. And you have those base plants there that are there for the selection and the overall look of your garden center. Versus if you walk into a garden center that just has annuals and some perennials and a few vegetables, do you really feel like you're in a full garden center, or do you feel like you're at a place that sells plants? Think about your own experiences that. And I always try to, and when I go to any retail, I go in as a customer first with my eyes, to try to like, how am I experiencing that as a customer, and try to do that with your own retail, and try to go to your competition too. And I know it's busy and it's in season, but like, now is the time to take 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday and run over to a couple of places and just look around. How do you feel when you're in there? What's the environment like? How many people are shopping? What are they gravitating towards? How are they pricing things? What's their selection look like? And you can gain a lot by doing that as well.
Yeah, the other thing that I guess was top of my mind after Mother's Day is, okay, we have hydrangeas left. I haven't gotten your numbers yet, guys, on this weekend sales, but is that something, since they've kind of were in full beautiful bloom, and as they're in the the garden center a little longer, should we hit them with, we've never really promoted a whole lot. We don't really put a whole lot on sale. But this year I'm only doing green goods. I used to do marketing, so I think I can do that more often, but like, is now a time maybe after next weekend to try to clear out some of those hydrangeas to put them on sale again? Or do you recommend not running promotions like that?
No, I do recommend running promotions. I would think that hydrangeas though specifically, will keep blooming. Like a bloom lasts on a hydrangea for a
Mhm.
month or more. It lasts a whole lot longer than an annual. So as long as you keep them maintained and watered, then you keep them protected from the sun a little bit. If you have leftovers for those stores that you're extending the garden season, center season in, those will be fine to sell throughout the summer. As long
Okay.
as they can stay out of the sun and they're still look nice, you know. If they start looking bad, then you take that one and you mark it down, right? If you have a couple looking bad, you to go ahead and mark those down, put them on the plant rescue area, get rid of them, you know, that way. But I mean, I think running promotions is great. And even like a Memorial Day promotion, right? $5 off any shrub, you know, if you have a lot of shrubs left for Memorial Day and you, it kind of happens when you're trying new things. So I don't think that you have to do it every year, but you do want to try new things, right? Like you're trying new shrubs and perennials, and you've got to do that in your garden center to continue elevating and growing it. But then towards the end of the season or Memorial Day, if you're like, oh, I bought a little too many of those, we're gonna do a shrub bonanza, you know, and like
Yeah.
sell out of the other ones or something like that. I think is a great thing to do kind of towards the end of the season.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know how many you have left, how many you started with. You know, if you have 5,000 left and you've only sold 10, I might have a different,
Yeah,
you know, recommendation, but
yeah.
just
No,
assuming you bought, yeah.
no, I don't think we have a ton left. I just, I think our Monrovia unfortunately came in before the 2 times we got hit by frost. And so
Hmm.
maybe, and some of them came in after. I know Dee, you got yours in Homer Glen after, and they were beautiful, but some of them got hit by frost. So I was just trying to figure out what to do with them. You guys have
Yeah, if they don't look
questions?
good, I would mark them down just because they don't look good, but
Okay.
yeah.
So now's the time for questions. You got the smart people in the room.
Has anybody else been having problems with Bonnie? They've only been here twice. And
Are you
Everybody
our
asking me?
our
Everybody has.
plants horrible, horrible. I don't even
Yeah.
want to put them out for the
You
sale.
have to just call them. You have to call them and insist they come and fill, because I think they've only filled mine a couple of times too, and the guy parks in my parking lot and he still doesn't come check.
Yeah,
What?
but you know your local person.
Last year
So
they showed
all
up
our
twice a week.
stores are supplied by different growers in the area. So I have the corporate source for that. But if you have the opportunity, if they're out there, go get their card, because they're sourcing, like Homer Glen is sourced different from Braidwood. And you're right, then you can get hold of them. You're right, they're supposed to be bringing you tomatoes this week. But we have one rack in Homer Glen that isn't even filled yet, so we'll just keep pounding them. They're just having a tough year.
We can
I
get
don't
with
think-
Dustin too on our side. Are there stores that you haven't gotten tomatoes that you're supposed to for this weekend?
Yes, all stores have not gotten their tomatoes.
Oh, all stores have not?
Yes, and Homer Glen, they set up the rack. Dee, you could give me more information a couple weeks ago and have never filled it.
Can you send us the store numbers and that need attention, and we'll get that off to our rep and he'll make sure.
Okay. Okay.
it happens. And also they were supposed to have something new implemented this year with with routing software where they were actually routing the local trucks from their main office in Alabama so that stores weren't getting missed and that every store that was supposed to be supplied from that station, which is what Bonnie calls them, their stations would be done on a regular schedule. So it doesn't sound like that's happening either. So, yeah, if you could send us over a list of stores today, then, and as soon as you get it, let us get it over to that, Bonnie, to make sure you guys have vegetables before Thursday, really,
Yeah.
before tomorrow.
Before
So,
Yeah, we have them. We have Chef Jeff and,
okay,
we source a local grower and, we were kind of trying to, in my brain, I thought maybe moving away from flats and more into 4-inch pots was the direction I wanted to go, especially for our northern stores. But everybody screamed flat, so I put in an order delivered today for a bunch of flats. So I do have
Okay.
tomato flats coming.
okay.
So I think we should be covered. It's just not what we planned on selling for that sale.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good to know. But and maybe that's why Bonnie, if the Bonnie reps are seeing the other vegetable brands in there, I'm wondering if they're making a decision
Yeah.
based on
may-
that too.
it-
So,
It may be.
but we'll find out anyway. Either way, it's not right, and we'll get to the bottom of it. If you
The
send us
guy
the
that we
story.
had, the guy we had last year stopped by once a week,
Twice
took
a week.
everything, sometimes twice a week, took everything off the racks, replenished the racks.
Make
He
sure
would try
everything's good
different
for
things to see if they
Memorial
sold. or-
Day.
He would put different things in to see if it would sell for our store. If it didn't, he took it the next week. If it did, he'd put more in. I mean, he was fantastic, but the first year and this year, horrible service. Absolutely horrible. If this is how they're gonna be, I wouldn't even want them in my store next year.
Mhm.
And they're
I will
not
say I
selling
have-
well. The few that are doing okay, they're not selling well.
Chef
Yeah,
Jeff typically does better than Bonnie is what
Mhm.
I've noticed. Yeah.
Yeah, people really like the Chef Jeff, and they good product.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, all our Chef Jeff looks great right now, so you can't even be like, oh, well, you're not taking care of the Bonnie. No, we're taking care of it all the same way. Like
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones not pulling their weight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Last year, Michelle, we did, for the tomato sale, we chose to pilot Wilmington in doing all the Chef Jeff, which would be buy two, get one free.
Mhm.
And I heavy ordered on that and, it was good for that store. That way it didn't kind of be just the tomatoes, but that worked for us in one store. But this year we decided to just do the tomatoes.
Yeah, I think that's when we do the promotions, we try to make them as open and flexible as possible. You know, like we just did tomatoes, but obviously all that advertising lends well to all the vegetables, not just tomatoes, you know. So,
Another thing that I think that we're struggling with a little bit, and Jessica probably saw this in Willowbrook, is our signage. So it's been a short trend. 3 years ago, we didn't even have UPC codes on everything. So we've been transitioning to the UPC code last year. Pricing was just, we talked to Scott Grandchamp, and he told us he uses these 2-inch waterproof stickers. So last year we stickered everything. Some stores only stickered the local product we get from Indiana because it isn't UPC coded. But this year everybody's stickering everything. But what we seem to be missing is bench signs or bench price signs. I probably didn't plan well enough from that. One of our locations that signs the best, I guess, would be Coal City, and they use those green lawn and garden signs that Ace
mhm.
carries. So signage and price signage is something, especially when we're just getting product in. And of course, you know, every customer in the world is taking product out of your hands as you're unloading the truck. And so being prepared with signage earlier, and having that product that's waterproof out there is probably something we need to work on better next year.
Yeah, I would say I love Scott Grandchamp, and I think he is like one of the sweetest men I've ever met for sure, you know?
Yep.
And we film a lot in his garden center because it's always so pretty. But the
Beautiful.
stickering is not something I would recommend, except
Okay.
for no, don't change anything midstream, right?
Yeah.
You guys got your program for this year, but something to think about for next year. As long as you have UPCs, then you can create SKUs and you can create kind of blocks of SKUs. So let's say you get 4-inch vegetables from Hybels and you get 4-inch vegetables from supplier X, you know, one is like 220 and the other one is 240. They're close enough. Make all 4-inch vegetables 329, right? And then you just put all the 4-inch vegetables on the same section. You put a big price sign on it. You're not spending a ton of labor putting a lot of different stickers everywhere. The growers that you have, and I can help you dive into that more, Lori, too, if you guys want to like really, you know, if you want some help kind of sorting out what that looks like and what SKUs you make and everything like that, you and I can get together on another call, or whoever on your team wants to be a part of that and go over that, or we can sit down when I'm in Oak Brook next. But like the one from Indiana that doesn't have any UPCs, you're gonna have to sticker that, because there's no other way that cashier would know how much that is, you know,
Mhm.
unless you do colored stakes or something. But you have to do something physically to that plant. Either put a colored stake in it that means a certain price, or a sticker on it or something, because it doesn't have a UPC. I do offer sometimes, if you tell the growers, like, I'll give you an extra 25 cents a pot if you put a UPC sticker on it. Sometimes they'll do that. They just don't realize you'll pay more for it, you know, like, because they're like farmers and they're like, I wouldn't pay for that, you know, but they don't understand retail and how like much time that takes. But you could just offer, like, what would it take for me to pay you more if you put UPCs on it? But that way your cashiers are then just ringing out UPCs on everything. That's going to make that much more efficient. So as you do grow your business and you get busier, you need to figure out a way to maintain it. Like, maybe it's barely maintainable now, but if you grow a little bit, like, that's going to be hard to maintain with all the stickers. So getting a way to organize them by SKUs is good,
Okay,
and I can help you with that.
that would be great. Yeah, I would love to do that because it's burdensome for everybody. And then we have printer problems and ink problems and
Right.
just not fair to that management team working that store to be that chaotic.
And this is work. It is work, but it's work that happens in December and January when when your growers have their prices set. They send you the UPCs and their prices, and then you can get everything together at once and do, you know, once after after the skeleton's built, you know, then you can get together and like update. Okay, we need to update these prices here. We need to update that, and that's done over the winter.
Great. That would make everybody a lot happier, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I guess if we're talking pain points, the other pain point we always seem to have is hiring seasonal help. You know, it is what it is. It's pretty hard because you're hiring people, and strategically we're coming out of January and February, which are our worst months. And then all of a sudden we're hit like, you're going to receive 10 trucks next week. And so we're struggling a little bit with our hiring processes and how to make that, how to be more prepared. But I don't.
Yeah, you want to start a couple weeks before, you know, a few weeks before for sure your first plant truck comes in. But also think about, can you hire seasonal help for inside the store and have your experienced help go outside? You know, like, what's the easiest to train a seasonal helper to do, like, in your store? hire the seasonal help for that department or person or whatever it is, and then have some of your more experienced people be transferred to the garden center for that couple of months. That's one way to kind of approach that too, because you can't just have brand new people in the garden center every year. Seasonal help doesn't come back and all that. But what can the seasonal help do? Stock shelves, or on the cash side, I don't know, for that, what that means for your store, but like think a little bit differently that way. And then also try not to do any, when I was at Westlake, in April and May, we would not do any L3 remodels or L2 remodels inside the store. And the expectations were lowered inside the store of how clean the floors had to be. And on the stocking stuff, I mean, I hate to say it because you don't want to lower anything anywhere, but when you have living inventory, like that has to be, it has to be watered. It has to be watered at a minimum. You can't sweep the floors. I got to sweep the floor, so I can't water the plants yet. Like that can't be the decision tree when there's live goods. There needs to be this different decision tree on some of those things too. And that expectation might help too. So
That's a good idea. How about it, managers? Got any other thoughts that kind of were top of mind?
I got something. Okay, speaking of signage and tomato sale coming up, managers, I sent you all an email. Some of you have not opened or read it yet. Please do so. That sale starts Friday. It tells you how to ring it up. These should all be placed out, laminated, and put out in your greenhouse already on all of your tomatoes or by all of your tomatoes. And greenhouse leads, I put my phone number and email in the chat. So if you guys are out there watering, have pretty plants, you want me to post something on your social media page, I won't leave it just up to my promo coordinators, but if you guys have something, please send it my way and I can post on your social media pages.
yay. I love that call out. I think those cards are waterproof. I think we asked that they be made on
They should
waterproof
already be
paper.
waterproof. Yeah.
And we like
Perfect. Don't
those.
laminate them. Less time. Just go stick
Yeah.
them outside
Yeah.
on all your tomatoes. Even better.
We had to fight a little bit for that when the sign kit people. They're like, "What?"
Nobody
We're like,
seems
"Yes,
to understand
these
the
need to be
waterproof. We have
waterproof."
to
Yeah.
always bring it up.
Yeah.
I know, I tell Tiffany that at the show when I met you guys, I was like, you speak my language, and I have fought for this for like 25 years. And like, it's so nice to have you guys aboard this fight because we still fight the WCAS price. We hate that. It's just a pain in our
Mhm.
butts, but you can't change their mind. And it's a battle that we don't win in our northern stores because they still want to do those cheap flats.
And that they have just a different type of garden center than what you're trying to build. It just is a different type of customer experience and a different type of garden center. And there is no profit in the cheap flats. Like I've run all the numbers 1,000 different ways. So it's just,
Yeah, but you can't convince them. I have tried to convince them.
We have tried as well.
yeah. And that's okay. They just, like I said, it's just, you have a vision for a different kind, like a more holistic garden center with add-on sales and with, like bigger, better experience for your customers. And that's a great vision. So
Yeah, and I think that's our battle is it's not just good enough to maintain the product out there. You got to be out there selling the product. And that's
Mhm.
how I built my business. That's how we built from, 4 stores to 15. But right now with the workforce, our managers are stressed in having staffing out there. And it's so important this time of year, and we keep driving it home. So any support you can give us in like how important it is to not just I've had a lot of people say, well, we're getting it watered. Like that's not enough.
that's the
not-
bare minimum.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the bare minimum. But to be a great garden center, and you don't have to know a lot, please. The managers hear me. If you don't hear anything else, you already know so much more than you think you do about plants just by being around them. You know so much more, and nobody knows everything about plants. I don't either. I Google stuff all the time, even before I make the social videos. I'm like, am I right about this? Like so nobody's perfect, but you know more than you think. You know how to help the customer by reading the tag with them, by finding them a shade plant, like just helping them a little bit eases their stress just by standing there and looking up something on the phone with them. Really, really, customers so much appreciate that, like, a little bit of help with that. So,
Yeah, and we do have that in a lot of stores. I think Dawn was just telling me in Coal City, they have Maddie who comes back every year and her customers come back to her because she
Mhm.
spends time with them. And that's what we try to promote. Everybody is doing that inside of your store. Like you do amazing customer service. And we just, David and Michael are really devoted to this. They know that this is the way they want to go. So we're not going to back up from this. We're going to keep moving forward. So, I mean, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be great.
Lori,
Mhm.
Lori, if it's presented, maybe theoretically, just put this out there, that you say to the managers that are against the greenhouses, okay, well, no one's going to cover electrical or plumbing today. The garden center is an extension of the store. So that's almost like saying, okay, well, no one's going to work in plumbing or electrical today because we just don't have time. Maybe it would click. I don't know.
I love that.
They
Yeah.
need to see it more as an extension of our store.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
my
agree,
2
Mike.
cents. Okay.
No, I appreciate that, Mikey. Yeah. Who would leave your paint department empty, right?
Right.
Exactly.
You guys have a great little store size, not little, but it's a great store size of 15 stores too. If you think about, and one thing I've done that's really beneficial in the past is doing little road shows with the managers, and going around to, half of the stores or several of the stores, that you can get to in one day, and everybody kind of goes around together and learns from each other, like what everybody's doing differently or something like that is a really good, maybe something to implement when maybe next year or this fall or something, to get everybody together and talking and sharing ideas and thinking garden center. Yeah.
Yeah, Paulette and I have talked about that. We've like some of our newer managers are so excited and so ambitious about this, and we love it. But we would like them to, because we do have all different sizes, and so get them to maybe see what their future could be. The direction we want to go. So I like that idea too.
Well, Michelle, you brought a strong point on the survey that's very interesting on the selection of why people want to shop it. They want a
Mhm.
broader view. It makes sense, right? If you had one can of spray paint on the shelf, right? It's the same concept. I love that
Mhm.
selection. Nobody had more competition than I know when I ran my greenhouse of Sunrise, acres of greenhouse that people could shop.
Grant
But
Park.
why did they come to us? Like you said, we're the helpful place. We can differentiate, which is where I think we win.
Mhm.
And
I
you're,
love the
and
spray
you're,
paint. I love the spray paint analogy that I'm going to use that in the future. Cause yeah, even if they wanted white spray paint and you had white spray paint, they just might not buy it because you don't have all the colors. I don't know
Yeah.
why the brain works that way.
You're
but-
not in it. Yeah.
and that pulling those resources from the inside, your people that already know. So if you pulled that seasonal staff out, which I've done that myself, they know where to send them. Go to aisle 3 and get your garden hose to water those flowers. That is another key consideration when hiring for greenhouse. Because to your point, you flip over staff, they're not going to know, they're not going to know our company's core values. They're not going to go our non-negotiables. They're not going to know our magic questions. So that's a great inside tip. And I love your videos. I just have to say it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate the feedback. They're hard for me to proofread. So
Anybody
My
else?
brain always goes to safety too. If you have no one out in that greenhouse, you have brick, you have timber, you have pallets, you have heavy pots that are on top of something. How can you make sure that your customers are safe out there with nobody out there? If something were to happen to somebody out there, you would have no idea until someone went out to load or another customer seen it. You have a tripping hazard with the hoses, like having someone out there is very important. I think about you know, little old ladies with canes and stuff. Like, you should be out there helping them. You wouldn't just leave them inside an aisle by themselves. You don't leave the store empty, like they said, like Mikey
Yeah, I
said.
love that example.
So
Mhm.
leaving that outside open for anyone to fall over or a basket fall on them or whatever when it's windy out, it's not safe for our customers. You're not helping them out with that. Like, that it should extend out there too.
So managers, I guess one question I would have, are there any supplies that you're looking through on ACE that you're not finding? Is there something that you could say, wow, this would make my job easier? Or is there anything that you felt limited on setting up?
I don't think I was limited on setting up, but can you magically convince somebody to get those old plant bags back? You know, that's what
Okay.
I want.
What is that?
What was it?
The plant bags that we used to have like 5 years ago, they were wide and they had a handle cut out. The ones we have now are tall and narrow with a handle. You could fit 2 plants, whereas before you could probably fit like 4 or 6 if you were like
Not like a cardboard box. It was an actual bag.
a bag. Yeah.
Have you seen our cardboard boxes?
Oh, well, we do have
You do
cardboard
those.
trays.
Just
Yeah,
the bags,
but
okay.
just if someone's buying 2 plants, it'd be nice to put it in
Yeah.
a nice wider bag as opposed to these little teeny ones that we get.
And you got them on Ace, you get them on Ace? Are they Ace source? Okay, can you
Yeah,
send?
they were Ace bags.
Okay, we'll look for that. We'll see. I don't know what that is. And we did just come out with a smaller
Not sure what
box
it is.
too. We were trying to get that ahead of season, but there is now a smaller box, but yeah. Look into the bag thing for sure.
And we love the trunk liners. I mean, we like consider that's the way to walk that customer to the car, is to say, hey, let me load this for you. So
And we do have
all
a
our
new trunk liner too. That's the Garden Place. I don't know if you saw that one yet. That one just, I think I want to say last week, we just started getting inventory in. So there is a new Garden Place one.
Are those on a roll or are those still folded up?
I
Do you
believe
know?
that they're on a roll.
Yeah. I think we asked for them to be on like a long tube, so you could just roll them off and rip them off, at the register.
And
I'll
the
put
only other thing,
put it in the chat.
Jessica and I had talked about it yesterday, is the availability of longer rolls of frost cloth. Just because our greenhouses sometimes are spread out so far across our store, we've got to order frost cloth in early and have it ready to go, and we have frosts the day before Mother's Day.
Mhm.
Because that was kind of stressful for everybody. We had frost cloths, we didn't have enough frost cloth. And maybe even some instruction on what, I mean, that wouldn't be really nationwide because not everybody has frost, but some direction as to what to cover, where to cover, why to cover.
Ooh,
Because I can tell you, everybody calls and says, we have plastic. Like, no, don't put plastic. Please don't put plastic.
have you
they
seen
were
the
up-
cold?
Are you taking the screen? Okay, yeah, I was just gonna say the cold weather guide.
Have you seen the cold weather guide?
That maybe I have not seen. Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna show you this. You're gonna love it. It's on our AceNet page. I'll take you guys on with me to find it because there's a lot on here. Daily checklist flats. There it is.
There it
Plant
is.
care
Oh.
and cold weather guide. So these are so cool. I brought them over from another lifetime because I loved it so much. But they can be printed out and laminated. Tiffany, this is where the laminators would be definitely coming in. So there's some quick, like this is the front page, right? On dormant trees and shrubs will withstand cold temperatures. Tender perennials brought inside. And at the temperatures, like pansies can stay out until below 28 degrees. And then
Nice.
here on the back side it goes over in detail, like the different plants and then the temperature and what you need to do. Can you cover it? Is it okay? Do you need to bring it inside? And so this is a big labor saving thing as well. So you're not like covering everything or bringing everything inside. But it tells you like at what temperature, what you need to do. And then if you have areas, like if you pick a garden center captain too, it kind of works well, you know, for your stores or for a group of stores to say, hey, the temperatures are going to drop below 27 degrees tonight. Bring inside your hydrangeas and your roses and, you know, cover your pansies, and, you know, like having somebody kind of blast that out too does help as well. For all the other stores I've seen, we did that at Westlake too. We would have a group champion, you know, 15 or 20 stores in their area. So
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. No, I did not. I think I saw that early, but I didn't think of it before the craziness was.
there's another one on merchandising too. So just icons that you can keep this out in the garden center, like laminated again, like, but like if somebody goes out there and they don't know what to do, like an associate
Okay.
goes out to the garden center, nobody's there to tell them, like, just look at this, look at this quick cheat sheet, pick one, you know? So,
Yeah.
Yeah. so.
No, and Tiffany has done a good job. I can't think of the name of your app that we're talking about maybe doing next year. What's the name of the app you're using for promo coordinator?
Group me,
What is it?
group me,
Group me.
Oh,
Group me.
group
okay.
me, yeah.
So, yeah, and I know Ace is doing some type of new app also but some way to communicate to 15 locations. Hey, it's gonna frost tonight. Even though it might be in one area, not another, but at least, yeah. So I think next year we'll look into that a little bit more. I know our Mantino location uses that internally and absolutely has great success with communication that way.
Yeah, I wanted to speak up on that. It's absolutely amazing. We use it for all of our communication for within the store. Then we also created a separate group for outside the store for the garden. We have all the garden people in that group. And then obviously we have Tiffany's group as well. And it's just amazing how much information we can put out, whether it be we have upcoming deliveries coming up. We have, if it's just stuff for outside, make sure, hey, we need to water this side of the plants today more than this side. It's just an amazing tool. So
Thanks,
That's awesome.
Jeremiah. Yeah. Any other questions or comments before we've kind of grabbed these guys for an hour now? We need to let them go. Do you have any other thing before we close up here? Well, thank you guys very much for your time. And definitely I will get hold of you, Michelle. Maybe we can talk about the ordering process to try to smooth the pricing out for everybody.
Yeah,
But thank you for your time. We appreciate it so
Yeah,
much.
Thank you for having
Absolutely.
us. Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, happy selling.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.